Welcome to Life Stories, where we share tales of resilience, love, and transformation that inspire and uplift. Today, we bring you the remarkable journey of Abigail and Ava, twin sisters abandoned as infants by their wealthy parents but saved by the unwavering love of a kind-hearted woman. From their humble beginnings to becoming world-changing innovators, their story is a powerful testament to the strength of family, forgiveness, and perseverance. Will they overcome their past and create a legacy of hope? Stay tuned to find out. Don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories to begin today's inspiring tale. It was a cold, drizzly morning in Chicago when Abigail and Ava came into this world. Two tiny bundles of life with strikingly blue eyes. Their birth should have been a celebration, a testament to the love and success of their parents. Thomas and Grace Parker. The Parkers were the epitome of the American dream, a billionaire power couple with a thriving business empire that stretched across states. They lived in luxury, their names synonymous with wealth and influence. Yet, within months of the twins' birth, everything began to unravel. From the start, Abigail and Ava's blue eyes were a point of fascination. Neither Thomas nor Grace had blue eyes, a detail that was noted but dismissed as a rare genetic anomaly. However, as the months passed, the Parker fortune began to dwindle. Lawsuits piled up, business deals fell through, and their once flourishing empire teetered on the edge of collapse. Desperate for answers, Thomas and Grace sought the counsel of a spiritual advisor, a man known for his cryptic yet seemingly accurate insights. After hours of consultation, the advisor's words sealed the twins' fate. He claimed that Abigail and Ava's blue eyes were a sign of a curse, a misfortune so profound it would bring ruin to anyone near them. Grace's hands trembled as she clutched Thomas's arm. "What do we do?" she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her fear. "The only way to reverse the curse is to separate yourselves from the children," the advisor said solemnly. "Leave them behind and start anew." The idea seemed unthinkable. Yet fear has a way of overshadowing reason. Convinced this was their only escape from ruin, the Parkers made the unimaginable decision to abandon their daughters. It was a bleak December evening when they carried out their plan. Wrapping Abigail and Ava in worn blankets, they left them in a quiet alley near the outskirts of Chicago. The twins, no more than 8 months old, stared up at the world with wide, uncomprehending eyes, their cries swallowed by the cold wind. Beside them, the Parkers left a note: "We can't take care of you. It's for your own good." And then they were gone, fleeing to New York in hopes of rebuilding their shattered lives. That same evening, Clara Jenkins, a seamstress with a heart as warm as her humble home, was walking back from the market. The streets were quiet, the kind of stillness that often precedes a storm. As she passed by an alley, a faint whimper stopped her in her tracks. Curiosity turned to shock as she found 2 tiny babies huddled together, their faces pale and their lips tinged with blue from the cold. Their bright, piercing eyes locked onto hers, and Clara's heart broke. "Oh, my sweet darlings," she murmured, scooping them into her arms. They were freezing, their small bodies trembling against her warmth. Without a second thought, Clara carried them home. Her small cottage in Springfield was modest, just enough for one person, but Clara had always believed that love could stretch to fill any space. She laid the twins in a makeshift crib, her hands trembling as she tucked them in with layers of warm blankets. "You'll never be alone again," Clara whispered, her voice firm with resolve. Clara had never been wealthy. Her days were spent sewing clothes for neighbors and taking odd jobs to make ends meet. But what she lacked in wealth, she made up for in compassion. She named the girls Abigail and Ava, believing that a new beginning deserved names full of promise. As the weeks turned into months, the twins began to thrive under Clara's care. Their cheeks grew rosy, their cries turned to laughter, and their once vulnerable gazes brightened with curiosity. Clara would often sing to them as she worked, her voice weaving stories of resilience and hope. "I may not have much," Clara would say, cradling the girls close. But what I have, I'll share with you. Clara's neighbors often marveled at her dedication. Raising 2 babies on your own, one remarked. Shaking her head. You're a saint. Clara. I'm just doing what anyone with a heart would do, she replied with a smile. Though she knew that wasn't entirely true. Not everyone would have taken on such a challenge. But to Clara, there was no choice. Abigail and Ava had become her world. By the time the twins were 4, their unique talents were already beginning to show. Abigail had a quiet intensity, often lost in books far beyond her years. She would sit at the little kitchen table, her small hands flipping through pages of novels and even science textbooks with a focus that astonished Clara. Ava, on the other hand, expressed herself through art. She would draw intricate pictures that captured the essence of their small village, portraits of Clara, landscapes of their neighborhood, and even the stars above. Clara often watched them with pride, marveling at how such extraordinary abilities could come from such a difficult start in life. She knew their journey wouldn't be easy, but with every bedtime story, every warm meal, and every word of encouragement, she instilled in them the belief that love and resilience could overcome anything. The world might have abandoned Abigail and Ava, but in Clara's eyes, they were nothing short of a miracle. And as they grew, it became clear that these 2 little girls, once left to die, were destined for something far greater than anyone could have imagined. As Abigail and Ava grew older, the strength of their bond became undeniable. The world around them might have seen them as different, even strange, but within the walls of Clara's modest cottage, they were simply 2 inseparable sisters thriving in a world of warmth and love. Clara made sure they knew they were special, not because of their bright blue eyes, which continued to draw curious glances, but because of their potential and their hearts. You are more than what people see, she would often say, her voice filled with conviction. What matters most is the kindness you show and the courage you carry. The challenges were real, though. When the twins started school, the world outside Clara's home was less forgiving. The first day was marked by stares and whispers. Abigail, being the older twin by a few minutes, held Ava's hand tightly as they walked into the classroom. Their bright blue eyes, so unique and striking, drew attention immediately. At recess, the teasing began. Look at the weird twins with the creepy eyes, one boy sneered, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. You'll bring bad luck to the school, a girl added, tugging at Ava's braid with a smirk. The words stung, but Abigail squared her shoulders, her jaw tightening. Ignore them, she whispered to Ava, who clung to her sister's side, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. That evening, back at home, Clara noticed the heaviness in their demeanor. Sitting them down after dinner, she asked gently, "What happened, my loves?" Abigail hesitated, but Ava's lip trembled as she finally spoke. "They said we're cursed, that we don't belong." Clara's expression softened with understanding. She pulled them close, her arms wrapping around them protectively. "People fear what they don't understand," she said, her voice steady. "But you are not cursed. You are extraordinary. And one day, the world will see that." Her words stayed with the twins, becoming a source of strength as they navigated the challenges of school. Despite the bullying, they excelled academically. Abigail's love for books and numbers set her apart, while Ava's artistic talent continued to flourish. Teachers quickly took notice. Abigail's sharp mind allowed her to solve problems that baffled her classmates. She had an uncanny ability to grasp complex mathematical concepts, and her teachers often remarked that she was years ahead of her age. Ava, meanwhile, captivated everyone with her art. Her drawings weren't just pictures, they were windows into emotions, capturing moments with a depth that seemed impossible for a child. "Your daughters are exceptional," one teacher told Clara during a parent-teacher conference. "They're going to do incredible things." Clara beamed with pride, though she always reminded the twins that their talents were a gift to be used wisely. Intelligence and creativity mean nothing without kindness, she would say. Always remember to lift others as you rise. At home, the twins continued to nurture their talents. Abigail spent hours poring over books that Clara borrowed from the library, her mind hungry for knowledge. Ava transformed their small living room into a makeshift art studio, her sketches and paintings bringing color to their humble home. But even in their sanctuary, the scars of bullying lingered. The cruel words of their peers echoed in their minds. Though they rarely spoke of it, they didn't want to worry Clara, who already worked tirelessly to provide for them. One evening, as the three of them sat by the fire, Clara noticed Ava staring at her sketchpad, her pencil motionless in her hand. "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" Clara asked softly. Ava looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why don't people like us, Mama?" Clara's heart ached at the question. She placed a gentle hand on Ava's shoulder. "Sometimes, people are afraid of what they don't understand. But that doesn't make their opinions true. What matters is what you think of yourselves. And I think you are brave, talented, and kind. Never forget that." Abigail nodded in agreement, reaching out to squeeze Ava's hand. "We have each other," she said firmly. "That's all we need." The twins found solace in their bond and in the love Clara surrounded them with. They leaned on each other, drawing strength from the lessons Clara taught them and the resilience they had built. As the years passed, the bullying continued, but so did their determination. Each insult they endured only fueled their drive to prove the world wrong. Abigail buried herself in her studies, while Ava poured her emotions into her art. Together, they created a shield of love and purpose, one that even the harshest words couldn't penetrate. They might have been seen as outcasts by their peers, but within their small, loving family, they were heroes. And deep down, they began to sense that they were destined for something far greater than anyone around them could imagine. As Abigail and Ava entered their teenage years, the world around them grew both larger and more complicated. At 16, they had matured into bright, determined young women who had learned to face adversity with grace and resilience. Though the whispers about their blue eyes and otherworldly presence still followed them, they no longer let the words of others define them. It was during this time that something extraordinary began to unfold. One rainy afternoon, the twins sat at the kitchen table, working on a science project for school. The assignment was simple: create a model that could predict the outcome of a random event. While most of their classmates struggled with basic ideas, Abigail and Ava found themselves diving deep into calculations and creative interpretations. Abigail's brow furrowed in concentration as she scribbled equations across a notebook. Numbers came naturally to her, flowing like a language only she could fully understand. "If we adjust for external variables," she murmured, half to herself, "we can predict the exact timing of a falling object with precision." Across the table, Ava sketched ideas for their project with quick, confident strokes. But as she watched Abigail, she began to feel something unusual, a strange tugging sensation, as though she could sense the emotional weight of the calculations Abigail was making. "Abby," she said quietly, "do you ever feel like the numbers mean more than they seem? Like they're alive somehow?" Abigail looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" Ava hesitated, searching for the right words. "It's like I can feel the way these events will play out. Not just logically, but emotionally. It's like I can see the impact they'll have on people before they even happen." Abigail stared at her sister, the pieces slowly falling into place. Together, they began experimenting, combining Abigail's mathematical precision with Ava's intuitive understanding of emotional ripple effects. What started as a simple school project soon evolved into something far more profound. Within weeks, they had developed a prototype, a crude but functional model they called the foresight device. Using data from weather patterns, economic trends, and human behavior, the device could predict events with startling accuracy. Abigail's calculations formed the backbone of the predictions. while Ava's emotional insights brought context and depth to the results. The first time they tested the device, they held their breath, unsure of what to expect. Abigail entered data about an approaching storm, and Ava adjusted the parameters to account for human responses. The result was astonishing. The device not only predicted the storm's exact time and location but also suggested how people in the affected areas would react, down to their emotional states. The twins stared at each other in awe. This could change everything," Abigail whispered. Encouraged by their success, they tested the device again, this time using stock market data. Once again, the predictions were precise and eerily accurate. The foresight device seemed to have unlocked a new way of understanding the world, a combination of logic and intuition that transcended traditional methods. But with their excitement came a sobering realization. Ava said one evening, as they sat reviewing their results. "This is powerful. Maybe too powerful. What if it falls into the wrong hands?" Abigail nodded slowly, the weight of their discovery settling on her shoulders. "We have to be careful. This isn't just about us anymore. This could change lives, for better or worse." Despite their reservations, the twins couldn't deny the potential of their invention. It was more than a school project now. It was a breakthrough that could revolutionize the way people understood and navigated the world. Their success didn't go unnoticed. Teachers marveled at their work, calling them prodigies and encouraging them to pursue higher education. News of their abilities began to spread beyond their small town. And soon, a prestigious tech company specializing in predictive analytics reached out to them. One afternoon, the twins found themselves sitting in a sleek conference room, surrounded by professionals who seemed both intrigued and amazed by their talents. A man named Mr. Harper, the company's representative, spoke with quiet enthusiasm. "We've heard about your work," he said, his gaze steady. "What you've created is unlike anything we've ever encountered. With the right resources and training, you could take this to a global scale. We'd like to offer you scholarships to one of the top universities in the country, where you can develop your skills further. Imagine the possibilities: predicting economic trends, preventing natural disasters, even improving global decision-making." Abigail and Ava exchanged a glance, their minds racing. It was an incredible opportunity, one they had never imagined. But it also meant leaving behind the only home they had ever known, and Clara. That evening, they sat with Clara in the warmth of their cottage, explaining the offer. Clara listened quietly, her eyes filled with a mixture of pride and sadness. "My sweet girls," she said, her voice trembling. "You've worked so hard for this. It's a chance to make your mark on the world. I'll miss you terribly, but I know you're destined for greatness." With Clara's blessing, the twins prepared to embark on the next chapter of their journey. Their hearts were heavy with the thought of leaving, but they knew this was the beginning of something extraordinary. Together, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united by their love for each other and the lessons they had learned from Clara. The first day of university was both exhilarating and intimidating for Abigail and Ava. The campus was sprawling, filled with students from all over the world, each bustling with their own ambitions and talents. For the first time, the twins weren't the most extraordinary people in the room. Instead, they were surrounded by brilliance in every direction. Despite their initial nerves, they quickly found their footing. Abigail immersed herself in advanced mathematics and engineering courses, her sharp analytical mind thriving in an environment that encouraged complex problem-solving. Ava, meanwhile, delved into behavioral sciences and art-based design, combining her creative instincts with an academic understanding of human emotion. Their schedules were grueling. Days blurred into nights as they balanced lectures, labs, and hours spent in the library. Yet, the twins thrived under the pressure, supporting each other at every step. "Do you ever feel like we're finally where we're supposed to be?" Ava asked one evening as they sat in their dorm room, Abigail hunched over a stack of equations and Ava sketching a concept for a project. Abigail looked up, a faint smile crossing her face. Sometimes. But I also feel like we're just getting started. Their natural synergy extended into their coursework. Professors quickly noticed how their individual talents complemented each other. Abigail's precision and logic paired seamlessly with Ava's emotional insight and creativity. Together, they began working on a project that would redefine their abilities and test the limits of their potential, the Foresight Device 2.0. The idea was ambitious. They envisioned a tool that could predict events with unprecedented accuracy, combining massive datasets with emotional and social patterns to provide not just outcomes but context. It wasn't just about knowing what would happen, it was about understanding why and how it would impact people. Abigail's calculations became the backbone of the project. She spent countless nights running simulations, tweaking algorithms, and refining the device's ability to process vast amounts of data. Meanwhile, Ava brought a human element to the project. She worked on interpreting the data in ways that made sense to everyday people, using her intuitive understanding of emotions to add depth and relatability to the device's outputs. Their shared determination was unshakable. Even when setbacks arose, a miscalculation here, a software glitch there, they refused to give up. "We'll figure it out," Abigail would say, her tone resolute. "We always do." As the device began to take shape, the twins tested it in increasingly complex scenarios. They input data on weather patterns and watched as the device predicted storms with uncanny accuracy. They analyzed stock market trends, and the device forecasted fluctuations down to the minute. But it wasn't just the accuracy that astounded them, it was the way the device could integrate emotional insights. For example, it didn't just predict a storm, it anticipated how people in the affected area would react. It didn't just predict a stock market shift, it considered how investor sentiment might amplify or dampen the changes. One evening, as they reviewed the device's latest test results, Ava leaned back in her chair, staring at the screen in awe. "Do you think this could actually change the world?" she asked softly. Abigail looked over, her expression thoughtful. "I think it already is," she replied. News of their progress began to spread across the university. Professors lauded their innovation, while classmates looked on with a mix of admiration and envy. The Foresight Device 2.0 wasn't just a school project anymore, it was a breakthrough that had the potential to revolutionize entire industries. Soon, the twins were invited to present their work at a university-wide innovation showcase. The event was their chance to share their vision with industry leaders, academics, and investors. Abigail and Ava poured every ounce of energy into perfecting their presentation, determined to make the most of the opportunity. The day of the showcase arrived, and the auditorium buzzed with excitement. The twins took the stage, their confidence bolstered by months of hard work and preparation. Abigail explained the technical aspects of the device with clarity and precision, while Ava brought the story to life, illustrating its emotional and practical impact on the world. When they finished, the room erupted into applause. Questions came flooding in from curious audience members, professors, entrepreneurs, and potential investors, all eager to understand the scope of what the twins had created. Among the crowd was a representative from a major tech firm, who approached them after the presentation. "This is groundbreaking," he said, his tone sincere. "We'd love to collaborate with you to bring this to the global stage. Have you thought about the next steps?" Abigail and Ava exchanged a glance, their hearts racing. They had dreamed of this moment. But now that it was here, the weight of their discovery pressed heavily on them. That night, as they sat in their dorm room, the enormity of their situation began to sink in. The Foresight device wasn't just a project anymore. It was the beginning of something far bigger, something that could change their lives and the world forever. The weeks following the showcase were a whirlwind. Abigail and Ava found themselves navigating a new world of opportunity and responsibility. Meetings with tech firms, calls with potential investors, and invitations to conferences became part of their daily routine. Their foresight device had captured the imagination of everyone who learned about it. And the twins were hailed as prodigies destined to reshape the future. Despite their growing recognition, the twins remained grounded, a testament to the values instilled in them by Clara. They made a point of calling her every evening, sharing their successes and struggles. "I'm so proud of you," Clara would say, her voice warm with love. "But remember, my darlings, the greatest success is staying true to yourselves." Her words resonated deeply, especially as the pressure mounted. The twins were offered lucrative deals and partnerships, but they knew they needed time to carefully consider their next steps. The responsibility of their invention weighed heavily on them. One evening, as they sat in their dorm room reviewing offers, Ava voiced a concern that had been gnawing at her. "Abby, what if this gets out of our control? What if someone uses the device for the wrong reasons?" Abigail sighed, leaning back in her chair. "I've been thinking the same thing. It's powerful. Ava, too powerful to just hand over to anyone. We need to make sure it's used for good." That resolve guided their decisions as they moved forward. They rejected offers that felt exploitative or rushed, prioritizing partnerships that aligned with their vision of ethical innovation. It wasn't always easy. Some investors were frustrated by their caution, but the twins remained steadfast. In the midst of their success, an unexpected event shook them to their core. One evening, as they prepared to meet with a potential partner, a new story caught their attention. The anchor introduced an exclusive interview with a destitute couple, Thomas and Grace Parker, their biological parents. The twins froze, their eyes fixed on the screen. The couple, once wealthy and powerful, now looked worn and frail. Their clothes were shabby, and their faces etched with regret. "We made a terrible mistake," Thomas confessed, his voice trembling. "We abandoned our daughters because we believed they were cursed. It was the worst decision of our lives." Grace wiped away tears as she added, "We've lost everything, and all we can hope for is their forgiveness. If Abigail and Ava are out there, we just want them to know how sorry we are." The twins sat in stunned silence. For years, they had wondered about their biological parents, but seeing them now, broken and pleading, was overwhelming. "What do we do?" Ava whispered, her voice shaky. Abigail clenched her fists, anger and confusion swirling inside her. "I don't know," she admitted. "After everything they did, how can we even think about forgiving them?" That night, they called Clara, their anchor in moments of doubt. "Mama," Ava began, her voice trembling. "We saw them. Our biological parents. They're asking for forgiveness." Clara listened patiently as they poured out their emotions. When they finished, she spoke with the calm wisdom that had always guided them. "My loves, forgiveness isn't about excusing what they did. It's about freeing your own hearts from the pain they caused. But forgiveness doesn't mean you owe them a place in your life. That's a decision only you can make." Her words gave them clarity, but the decision still weighed heavily on them. The next day, they agreed to meet Thomas and Grace, not out of obligation but out of a desire for closure. When the day arrived, the twins were seated in their sleek, modern office. Clara sat beside them, her presence a steadying force. The tension in the room was palpable as Thomas and Grace entered, their faces etched with hope and fear. "We're sorry," Thomas began, his voice breaking. "We let fear and greed blind us. We don't expect forgiveness. But we wanted to tell you how deeply we regret what we did." Grace added, her tears flowing freely. "You've grown into extraordinary women, and we're so proud of you. We can only hope you'll find it in your hearts to give us a second chance." Abigail and Ava exchanged a glance, their emotions a storm of anger, sadness, and compassion. Finally, Ava spoke, her voice steady but firm. "You left us when we needed you most. But Mama Clara stepped in and gave us everything you didn't. She's our real family." Abigail nodded, her tone resolute. "We forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean we can let you back into our lives. We've built something beautiful. And that's because of Mama Clara. She's the one who showed us what love truly is. The meeting ended without dramatic reconciliation. But the twins felt a sense of peace as they walked out with Clara. They had spoken their truth and let go of the bitterness that had haunted them. Their focus returned to their work and their mission. They were determined to use their success not for personal gain but to create a legacy of compassion and innovation. With Clara by their side, they knew they could face any challenge the future held. After the emotional meeting with their biological parents, Abigail and Ava felt a sense of closure they hadn't expected. The weight of their past no longer loomed as heavily over them, and they turned their full attention back to their work. The foresight device had reached a critical stage, and the twins knew its potential to change the world was closer than ever. However, the experience with their parents left a lingering thought: what kind of legacy did they want to create? It wasn't just about technology or success. It was about making a meaningful impact. Inspired by Clara's unwavering love and guidance, the twins decided that their invention would serve a greater purpose. Their first major project was the creation of a foundation to help abandoned and vulnerable children. They named it the Clara Jenkins Foundation, in honor of the woman who had saved their lives and shown them what love truly meant. The foundation provided housing, education, and emotional support to children who, like them, had been cast aside by the world. "This is our way of paying it forward," Abigail explained during a press conference announcing the foundation. "Every child deserves a chance to thrive, just as we were given a chance by our mother, Clara." The announcement garnered widespread praise, and donations poured in from across the globe. The twins channeled their newfound resources into expanding the foundation's reach, opening centers in underserved communities and partnering with schools and healthcare providers to give children the support they needed. Meanwhile, the foresight device began to attract attention on a global scale. Governments, corporations, and humanitarian organizations all expressed interest in its applications. The twins, however, were determined to maintain strict ethical oversight. They refused to sell the device outright, instead offering partnerships that aligned with their values. One of their first major collaborations was with an international relief organization. Using the device, they were able to predict natural disasters with unprecedented accuracy, allowing aid workers to prepare and respond more effectively. The results were astounding: lives were saved, and resources were distributed more efficiently than ever before. "We're not just predicting events," Ava said during a presentation. "We're changing the way the world responds to them." Despite their growing influence, Abigail and Ava remained deeply connected to Clara. They visited her regularly, often sitting with her on the porch of the new home they had bought for her, a beautiful, sunlit house surrounded by gardens. "You've done so much," Clara said one evening, her voice filled with pride as she watched them talk about their latest projects. "But remember, my loves, the most important thing is that you've stayed true to who you are. That's your greatest achievement." Her words stayed with them as they continued to expand their work. They funded schools that emphasized not only academics but also values like kindness, resilience, and empathy. They supported research into mental health and emotional well-being, recognizing the importance of addressing the human side of progress. Even with their busy schedules, the twins found time for moments of quiet reflection. Sitting together one evening, Abigail looked at Ava, a rare moment of vulnerability in her voice. "Do you ever think about how far we've come? From being left in that alley to this?" Ava nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "All the time. But I think about Mama Clara even more. None of this would have been possible without her. She's the reason we are who we are." As the years passed, Abigail and Ava's legacy grew. The foresight device became a cornerstone of progress in fields ranging from disaster management to education and healthcare. But their true impact went far beyond technology. Through their foundation and philanthropic efforts, they touched countless lives. proving that even those who begin life at a disadvantage can rise to greatness with love and support. One day, as they sat with Clara on her porch, Ava looked out at the garden, a contented smile on her face. "We've done so much, but it feels like there's still so much left to do." Clara reached for their hands, her eyes shining with pride. "That's the beauty of it, my loves. The work of the heart is never finished. And the two of you have hearts big enough to change the world." In that moment, Abigail and Ava knew that their journey was far from over. They had faced abandonment, bullying, and doubt. Yet they had risen above it all. Guided by Clara's love and their own unbreakable bond, they had created a legacy of compassion and innovation, a testament to the power of resilience and the enduring strength of family. Their story, once defined by rejection, had become one of hope and transformation. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that their greatest chapters were still to be written. In the end, Abigail and Ava's journey proved that love and resilience can transform even the darkest beginnings into a beacon of hope. From being abandoned as infants to becoming innovators and philanthropists, the twins showed the world the true power of determination, compassion, and a family built on choice, not blood. With Clara's unwavering support, they not only revolutionized industries with the foresight device but also gave countless children a chance to dream through their foundation. Their story serves as a reminder that no matter where you come from, your future is shaped by the love you give and the strength you find within. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring journey. Subscribe to Life Stories for more tales of resilience, courage, and hope. Stay tuned for our next story, you won't want to miss it.